Hey everyone, Charlie here, and welcome to your masterclass on the Mozart Twinkle Twinkle Little Star Variations. The official name of this is something like 12 variations on vous, dirai-je, Maman, K300. There you go. Let's just call it Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Before we start, you know what to do. Be sure to subscribe, like, favorite, comment, all that good stuff for the algorithm on everywhere. So YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, it's all at Charlie Albright Pianist. Anyways, yeah, so I've got a digital version of this here. So that's why I got my computer up on my piano here. I just got this version off of the internet somewhere. I can't find my original score book. I don't remember which one I'm using, so don't ask me what version I'm using. It's just something I found on the internet. But I learned this piece for the first time back when I was a kid, I think. And it's a great piece of music, and I still sometimes perform it today because it's so fun to play, and everyone knows it, but it's like Mozart's version of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, or A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or whatever, the alphabet song. So I thought we'd kind of go through a little bit, and I can give some advice, on these, on each movement, each variation maybe. Yeah, so again, the advice that I give, take it with a grain of salt. Give it a try if you want. Don't, there's a bajillion ways of playing this piece and pretty much every piece. So this is just one way of kind of doing that. So this piece, it sounds pretty simple because it's a lot of Mozart kind of sounds simple, especially when you compare it with like Rachmaninoff, which has like 85 times as many notes. But this piece starts off very, very simply. In fact, it's only quarter notes, and it just goes playing the Twinkle Little Star theme. But that's, sometimes the simpler something is on the surface, the harder it is to play. And that might be the case in this piece, especially on some of the simpler variations, including the theme, which is so on the surface very simple. You want to keep everything very much in its place, because if you don't, then it'll sound like it's just messy and it's running away from you. So for example, if you're playing this and you go, it just sounds messy. It sounds bad. You want every note to be in its place exactly. And you got to think in terms of phrases, right? So if you can shape it and you keep everything in its place, it'll instantly bring it up a ton of levels. Here we go. So let's give it a try. Something like that. That wasn't great. But, if you have that kind of a shape, you're right. Da, da, dee, 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 dee. That's good, as opposed to just playing, right? Also, if you keep each note in its exact location, in its exact spot, play the rest, as they say Mozart supposedly said. That's very good. Now, you don't want to. You can push ahead. You can pull back. You can accelerando, decelerando, crescendo, decrescendo. All that stuff is great, but you want to do it intentionally and in a controlled manner. Like if you're playing and you accelerate like that, then it just sounds like it was an accident. But if you gradually accelerate or decelerate, you can get away with a lot. So even if you want to push ahead slightly here, you theoretically could. I don't know if I do that at the beginning because this is the theme. There's a lot longer to go. So I think the theme, I would probably recommend keeping it pretty simple. I would recommend keeping it pretty simple, but keeping it pretty stable. Keep it simple, keep it stable. But shape the phrasing and make sure that you don't rush. Now, in this piece, the first section is repeated in every variation, and then the last section is. Now, in general, the general rule of thumb, 99% of the time for most music, is to not do something the exact same way twice. You want to change it up, make a variation. Variation, get it? Yeah, terrible joke. You want to make a variation of it in some way, even when it's within the same variation. So if you're playing something like in a repeat, you want to maybe change the articulation. and or the dynamics, and or the something needs to be different so it doesn't sound like you just rewound and restarted that section. So for example, in the second section, you might the first time play the melody out, and then the second time when you repeat, you might bring out more of the counter melody in the left hand. Something like that. Just an idea. Let's move on to variation 1. Now, variation 1 is a little bit more complicated. You got, 16th notes, is it? So you got... make sure that you are articulated. Oh, you can almost imagine little, like, thimbles, like the things that people, like, use when they're, is it knitting or stitching? I don't know. Sewing. Yeah, you can almost imagine little thimbles on the tips of your fingers, giving that very clear, crisp sound. But you want to also think in terms of the phrasings we talked about, but also the mini movements within. So you got... Right? So... if you think of it like that and play, keep the left hand exact too. Now, in this piece, and a lot of Mozart, and a lot of pieces, but especially Mozart, and especially like something like this, slow practicing is your friend. So I have a video or 85 on slow practicing. I'll do a quick recap here, but be sure to check those out. Basically, slow practicing is when you practice slowly, like literally, but you're also doing other things. You're not just practicing slowly. You're like, it's like intentional practice. It's another word for intentional practice. But you oftentimes will use different methods. So like, this would be a great place to use like long, short, and short, long. So. And then short, long. Which is a lot harder. So long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, or short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, whatever. Yeah, you get the idea. Moving on, yeah, same idea. Let's go on to variation 2. This is the first one where it's a little, you have the left hand moving fast. So it goes. So the left hand, keep that intensity also. You want to keep that kind of sound. And your right hand has like a lot of like tied notes, right? So keep that energy. Yeah, so moving on, let's go into variation 3. Variation 3 is triplets now. So I think of this as almost more grand, more royal. So the right hand, the trills are almost like, you're almost like playing them just E and F together, like at the same time. Not exactly, but you're almost like whipping them. Whatever those are, but you get the idea, that kind of a feel. That's how I like to approach the third. And then the second part of it, I kind of retardando there and then kind of take my time. Something like that. That seems to work for me. So variation 4, basically just flipped around. It's even more grand. It's almost passante. So you can imagine like you're like a big dude just like dance around. And in the second part, it's different. It's suddenly, piano. And then you're back home. So it suddenly becomes more sweet. Be sure to shape it too. And pay attention to all the phrases, right? Variation 5. This one is suddenly, it's more innocent. Keep it controlled. Don't let it go. You know, play the rest. Don't let anything stick out either. And then here. Changes a little bit. Right, so that's very good. Next one, variation 6. So this one, left hand's going fast. Sorry, one more time. So it's almost like the bumblebee, whatever. So keep it controlled, keep it steady, but really shape that left hand wherever it goes. Then in the second part, you gotta think, so what's really happening is you're playing the melody in the left hand, right? But your right hand's playing. So the first two are actually being played by your right hand. So you want to hear bum, 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 bum. So you want to accent that G, no accent, G, no accent. And then there's no accent after that because then it becomes your left hand. So that's a little tricky, so keep that in mind. Moving on, variation 7. It kind of opens up. It's a little bit more grand now. In the middle section, I like to really pull on that. The second time, I take my time there. Why not? Come on, next page. Okay, variation 8. This is the first minor one. It's like a fugue with 3 voices coming. I think you should pull on each one of those. And then in the middle, I missed the note, sorry. G. Bring out the beginnings of each of the voices in this little fugue. And so on. Okay, variation 9. A little bit more grand. It's like trumpets in the distance. And the second section, a little bit more innocent. Little kids playing. I played the wrong octave in the left hand, but that's okay. I'll try one more time. I can't play the music anymore. Something like that. Now 10 is the one where you're going to have crossing over for the first time. Don't let it scare you. In this part, I like to bring up right? Big phrases. Now this next one, I think of it as like kind of like a cadenza. Think of it like you're improvising it, so you can take a lot of time here. Forte piano is kind of like a sforzando, really. You don't want to like bang it. It's kind of like an accent. The notes are. And here, take your time. Don't improvise too many wrong notes like me, though. So you can take your time. Sorry. And then you're back home. So you can take time more than in like any other variation. Then we're at the final variation, which is in 3. You know, grand, clear. Then this part. Don't let it get blurry. Keep it clear. Slow practicing is helpful here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And so on and so forth. Let's go to the second repeat, which is measure 25. So here, keep it clear. I use 1-3. The version I'm saying says like use 3-4. So I use 1-3-1-3. And also you can bring up that if you want. Sometimes you can choose where. Maybe once each. Go all the way to the end. It's the end of not just this variation, but the entire piece. You can take time. You can, retardando kind of to the end just a little bit and really place that last note. So don't just play. You don't want it to be vertical. You want to go, right? So have a direction. Great. So hopefully that was helpful. Just a few ideas on the Twinkle Little Star variations by Mozart. So if you have any questions, let me know down below. And be sure to like, subscribe, and all that on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one.